Yes! Hello, my beautiful friends. What an amazing day it is. We've got billions of dollars being canceled. We're going to go through the latest on the shutdown, keep our eye on the Senate to see if anything changes as we're going through the latest. But we're going to do a quick preview, then we'll jump in. We got 2 segments today and a bunch of updates. $8 billion of the green news scam canceled, courtesy of Russ Vought over there at the OMB. And it's very interesting what's happening, where this money is being canceled. All of the blue grifting states now having a bit of a reversal. And so we'll go through it. We've got a bunch of other updates. We want to see what the latest is, but Politico has some updates. Mass firings also coming soon. And the Democrats have already come out of the woodwork. This guy in particular, Norm Eisen, you remember him. He's been around forever, waging war against President Trump in America. And he's suing immediately. They've already got a press release out. It's from the unions, and they're suing, saying, you can't even threaten to fire us. Already trying to stop this from happening. And guess where this case is going? Right over to a California judge appointed by Obama, as you can see right there. So we'll go through the latest. We'll see what's happening there. Take a look at the lawsuit. Not going to spend a ton of time on it because we'll see a lot responded to very soon from the DOJ, but it's happening. We also got a report that California is spending billions on illegal aliens, as we all suspected. And of course, reaction from Caroline Levitt. We got polls from the New York Times, and we got JD Vance responding to Sombrero Gate, which is the most fun story in a while. So we'll go through that. And then we've got some January 6th pipe bomber stuff because we have a new J6 Select subcommittee on January 6th, and they're dropping some goods for us here. And we got questions about the pipe bomber and those AT&T records. Remember all the cell records that were corrupted? Well, we got a new report on it. So we'll go through the latest. We'll look at some emails on this. You can see we've got them queued up right here. And the emails, now that's just one set of emails that we'll look at. But we also got a full-blown report over here from the FBI on the pipe bomb. We got some photos and we got some wires getting connected and a bunch of good stuff. So we'll get into it. We're very glad that you're here and with us. Thanks for subscribing to our channel if you haven't already done so. Thanks for sharing the show with a friend or family member and inviting them on over when we go live, because it's better when we do it together. And we appreciate you also becoming a membo. If you happen to become a membo, we have great members only streams. We had a great live stream this morning. We've been laughing our butts off over the Sombrero Gate, and it's been a ton of fun, and talking about a bunch of other things. So if you want to join us, we go live in the mornings. We'll have an after party right here. You can join on YouTube. You can join on Locals, watching thewatchers.locals.com, or you can join on YouTube. And we appreciate you doing that. It's a great way to support our work and meet other people and join us in the mornings and the after parties. So thanks for doing that. All right. So without any further ado, now that the tubes are nice and warmed up, let's get into business on the day. The shutdown is here, and $8 billion already canceled and counting. We've got reports that firings are going to be coming in the next 48 hours or so, but the big one dropped immediately. October 1st, day one of the shutdown, 11:09 a.m. Boom. Russ Vought coming out swinging. Nearly $8 billion in green new scam funding to fuel the left's climate agenda is being canceled. More info to come from the Energy Department, which we can't wait to see. The projects are in the following states: California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii. Sex freak Hirono's down there upset about this. Illinois, Maryland, Massachusetts, Minnesota, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Oregon, Vermont, and Washington. It's like all the blue states, because that's how the scam works, of course. You come in, you take control of the federal government. You're like, man, I got to dish out a bunch of money to these sanctuary cities. And how can we just give them billions of dollars, $8 billion, just spread it around? Oh, yeah, we'll just call it climate change and green new energy. And we'll just pay a bunch of people and call those jobs. And it's just people digging holes and moving dirt around. Dig one hole, take the dirt, fill another hole, then dig that hole out, take the dirt, fill it back over here. We talked about that before. in economics. So you see that the money is now being canceled and rescinded, and Russ Vought is going to be causing just a bunch of Democrats screeching into the skies. And we've been waiting for him to see if he's got any other updates for us today. And he's doing some reposts. He's sharing, by the way, yeah, the Democrats definitely were trying to bring back money for the illegal aliens. And he's also sharing some other clips from some other people. But there was more. New York also getting paused. So we had $8 billion canceled. Now there's another $18 billion. And you know how much money this is? Just throwing around like it ain't nothing, like tip money at the end of a bad meal. Roughly $18 billion in New York City infrastructure projects have been put on hold. Schumer, not happy about that one, to ensure funding is not flowing based on unconstitutional DEI principles, which are illegal. More info to come from the Department of Treasury. And so we see what is happening right now. Like the requests are coming in. He's like, well, approved over to Treasury. Approved over to Energy. And we're happy to see the flywheel kick into gear. Now, they're also explaining to us over at Politico, writing, mass firings will begin in a day or two. And here's another one from Meredith Lee Hill, who was very upset about the sombrero, I think it was, and said she was calling it vulgar and very offended as a white lady. Says OMB Chief Russ Vought told House Republicans today on a private call on Wednesday that the administration will start mass reduction in force and those moves or the firings of federal workers, quote, in a day or two. Keep it vague. According to 4 people granted anonymity to describe the call, Vought and President Trump have both threatened to inflict maximum pain, and now they're getting sued over that because of Norm Eisen and the Democrat super lawyers. During the shutdown, as Senate Republicans hope to peel off additional Democrats. And that did not happen today. A bipartisan group of senators also discussed several early off-ramps as well. Vought warned that money is about to run out for both the nutrition program for low-income moms and babies, known as WIC, and pay for active duty members of the military. And I have to say, like, as much as we can get excited about the shutdown and the prospect, the thesis that our federal government is going to be shut down, it absolutely boils my blood that we had to see Kristi Noem this morning post that the ICE agents are going to go without pay to protect our borders, or that our active duty members of the military are going to go without pay. That's insane. What kind of a national security risk is that? China's like, well, it's a good time to invade because all their soldiers have no income. Like, how long is this going to go on, right? It's ridiculous. And there's, certain segments you might say are essential or whatever, but if they got $8 billion going over to these green scam deals, like, why is that money just not in a rainy day fund for the troops? If there's an emergency shutdown, the troops get paid. The Border Patrol gets paid. It's a national security concern, but our government and everybody, it's not just the Democrats, or it's ridiculous that we even have to have this conversation. Why is Kristi Noem saying they're going to, and shout out to everybody who is in the military or, doing something useful and in service, not just grifting off the green scam, who is having to go without pay for doing something that is actually essential to America, but all of this other money is bumbling around. Maybe some of that money for Ukraine or other foreign wars would be very useful to put in a rainy day fund so our troops get paid. What kind of country would allow that to happen and just say, well, and I know it's useful leverage. I know they like to come out and say, well, our military, like, we have to get the spending back on, and they attach the military to the spending. So everybody's guilted in. They do this all the time with veterans. Well, you don't want to take money away from the veterans. No, we don't. We want to take it away from the illegal aliens that are currently getting it, to the tune of billions of dollars. And fast forwarding, we're going to come back to this, but here's just another report. California, $8.4 billion. How much of that money could be put to our troops, our Border Patrol? This is going to illegal aliens. The invaders of our country are better cared for with guaranteed health care than our own troops. It's insane. And both parties should honestly be ashamed of themselves for even allowing this to happen. And I know the veterans and the military are constantly used as leverage points in order to get other things done, but it's ridiculous that we even have to have that conversation. Okay, how about you keep your own house in order before you start slushing money out to NGOs and USAID and foreign nations? It's like basic, you'd expect basic fundamental governance that we can't even get right in this country. It's kind of a shocking shame, actually, when you see it come out. Now, that being said, we will, of course, enjoy the opportunity to cut and cancel and rescind the funds that were a part of that scam. So maybe, hopefully, the next time we actually have some fiscal responsibility so we can pay for American citizens. Now, here's the memo from Russ Vought. He said, we're going to start cutting, baby. He sent this one yesterday as the deadline approached. He told everybody, memorandum to the heads of executive departments and agencies from Russell Vought. He says appropriations provided under the appropriations expire tonight, last night at midnight. Boom, we were watching it. On September 19th, the House of Representatives passed a CR that was clean. But unfortunately, Democrat senators are blocking this. And it's now clear that the shutdown is going to happen. And so here is what we need to do next. It is unclear how long Democrats will maintain their untenable posture, making the duration of the shutdown difficult to predict. Now, regardless, employees should report to work for their next regularly scheduled tour of duty to undertake orderly shutdown activities. We will issue another memorandum indicating that government functions should resume once the president has signed another bill providing for the appropriation. So you're kind of in a holding pattern. Show up, but you're in a holding pattern. Now, agencies should continue to closely monitor developments and will provide you further guidance as appropriate. We greatly appreciate your cooperation and the work your agencies do on behalf of the American people. So that's making its way through. This was a fun question for Hakeem, and they're struggling with this because they're recognizing, oh, damn, $8 billion just got canceled like with one fell swoop to all these blue entities. And the money is just theft. They're not creating green energy. Do we have a surplus of energy somewhere? How many billions of dollars have gone to the green scam? Are we better off for it? What if all that money went to nuclear reactors and we had a bunch of nuclear reactors all over the place and our electricity was basically free? And I'm not a communist, but if we're going to spend the money, I want it to be useful for Americans, not being grifted off by Democrats. So they go to slush funds. I would expect about $4 billion of that goes right back to Democratic political causes and has nothing to do with green energy at all. And so now that is being canceled. They're probably going, oh, dang, we need that. That's a lot of money. And so they asked Hakeem about this. And the question, I think, is much better than his response because, as we know, he can't really talk that well. But here is the question, and it's fleshing out some of the concern that is now percolating in the aftermath of the shutdown.
Question?
Mr. Leader, so Russ just spoke to House Republicans on a call, says that these firings are likely to start within the next 48 hours.
Let's go.
Also said that WIC is going to run out of money within the next week, and he just posted that $8 billion of green energy will actually be cut immediately, and it's going to affect 16 states, all of them which have either Democratic leaders or Democratic majorities in their state houses.
Yeah, and don't let the left lecture us about how this is a political attack or blue attack. This was originating as a slush fund scam in the first place. So the scam is just being canceled. That's all that is.
Senate. What's your response to that?
These are all things that the Trump administration has been doing since January 20th.
Yeah.
The mass firings of federal workers.
Yeah.
Trump administration has been engaging in this since January 20th. Targeting the clean energy economy. Republicans have been doing that since January 20th and assaulted the clean energy economy and the creation of good paying American jobs in their one big ugly bill.
Yeah, say it.
Trump administration has been killing jobs. This is a job killing administration.
Okay, so all they want to do is just hand out money and then call that jobs. Just scam it out right to their energy people. And then, of course, those people, wow, Democrats are great for me. And they funnel it to their specific subcontractors, and it all trickles down right back into their voters' pockets, who then send it right back to the Democrats. So the scam is over. But the question was perfect because, like, oh, you guys are going to get a lot of that money cut from you. Not good. Now, for them, good for America. Now they're reacting. They're not just sitting back. We expected a lawsuit to come, and it came quickly. Norm Eisen probably had it drafted already. And this guy has been just a pain in America's butt for a long time. And we've covered a bunch of lawsuits representing his organizations, Democracy Defenders and others, suing to get nationwide injunctions. They were representing the FBI agents who were, very emotionally traumatized like babies. And here's another complaint that comes out from him. Now, the case, of course, is filed, guess where? Well, you know where it's going. The Northern District of California. You're kidding. Shopping around as per usual. And the case, of course, is going to an Obama judge. His name is Vance Gerdarhi Chabria. And here's more on this judge. He was born in San Francisco and has been there for a long time, appointed by Barack Obama, and has some experience. He's been around a while, actually clerked for a Supreme Court judge called Stephen Breyer, which is pretty cool, and has been around for a while, since 2013. And we'll see what he does with this. Of course, it's California. So we're expecting something probably from them with some sort of injunction. Let's see what Norm is asking for in this one. It's a 31 pager. We're just going to hit the highlights. You can see it's the usual suspects. The unions, American Federation of Government Employees. Oh, they're back again. The civil servants who sacrifice so much for all of us, who then also have to unionize so they can collective bargain against all of us, which is strange because they're already just dripping in federal benefits, are hardly ever fired. Can't get fired. You fire somebody. They're like, it's civil war for the Democrats. And then they unionize. The unions skim off the top of the taxpayer dollars that are going to these employees, so-called, civil servants, as they like to say about themselves. Then they form a union to basically attack and now sue the federal government, which we just voted for. So they're attacking us. Thank you for your public service. So AFL-CIO, all the unions are suing. They're suing Russ Vought and the United States OMB. Here's what they say. As the nation heads towards a federal government shutdown today, in an effort to pressure members of Congress, Donald Trump is making threats to federal employees. They say existing law provides for a temporary federal government shutdown if there's no money. When shutdowns have occurred in the past and pursuant to federal law, employees have been assigned to two categories. You can be an accepted employee. You continue working, but you're not paid until appropriations are back, or you're non-accepted and you're furloughed. But despite this well-established practice that they've come to rely on, the Trump administration has made unlawful threats to dismantle essential federal services. So is he suing about the threats or the shutdown or the actual actions or just the words? They say, once again, he's deviating from historical practice. And we're like, yeah, that's the whole point. They just are very unhappy that Trump is actually using the laws appropriately. Thus, last week, OMB issued the memo saying we're going to start firing people. There's going to be mass firings. We read it, a beautiful memo. But they say this takes a legally unsupportable position that a temporary interruption allows them to, quote, use this opportunity. And this past weekend, Trump doubled down on it. But this directive is contrary to federal law, and carrying out reductions in force is plainly not a permitted function that can continue during a shutdown. And so the threat of these massive layoffs, like nobody had even been fired yet when he filed this yesterday. It was repeated and reinforced by Caroline Levitt, says, yeah, we're going to fire people. If the government is not open, we have to make cuts. Obviously, we have no money. So these actions are contrary to law. I don't think so. And arbitrary and capricious. And it's a cynical use of the federal employees as a pawn, and it should be declared unlawful. All right, so let's see what he's asking for. Don't want to spend a lot of time on it because it's really not even an issue yet, right? I mean, who got fired? Is he just doing over the threats of firing? He goes through executive orders. Then there were some other memos that were issued. We read through many of them, just read the most recent one. Then in February 26, they said, get ready to fire. They say, well, here's your authority. And he cites a bunch of stuff for, statutes from Congress. And a lot of this is just explanatory. There's really not a lot of analysis happening here. When federal agencies undertake a RIF in which federal employees are laid off, there are statutes you have to follow, right? So he's basically saying you have to apply, like you're saying you're going to do a RIF. And if you're saying you're going to do a RIF, you got to use these statutes and follow these procedures. You're not doing that. You're using shutdown procedures, but you're just calling it a RIF, and you can't do that. So it's kind of semantics, really. On September 24th, multiple news agencies said there's going to be an impending shutdown. Now we get to some, actual content. But there's no authority to fire people, and nor could they, because if it's going to be a RIF, then they have to follow the other rules. And so let's just see what he's asking for. So we'll fast forward all the way to the end here. And he's saying it's outside the law. It's excessive. And it's contrary to the law. It exceeds authority. You have to issue RIF notices and all the things. Well, they got notice once they knew that the federal government was being cut or was being shut down. They file an APA claim, and let's see what they're asking for, what they want the judge to do, and whether the judge will do these things. Declare that OMB and OPM have exceeded their authority, acted contrary to law in an arbitrary and capricious manner in issuing the lapse memo. So I guess the memo needs to come back. They're not even upset about anything that's happened. All right. They want to stay the memo so that people, I guess, can't begin identifying things that should be cut. They want an injunction that the memo stops being followed, I guess. And they want attorney's fees. All right, so this is just a garbage, lawsuit. Well done, Stacey, for wasting everybody's time on this. Maybe you should come back when somebody actually gets fired. Like, okay, now there's a real thing. We actually canceled $8 billion. Now there'll be a lawsuit about that. But right now, they're literally just suing. This is Norm Eisen, Craig Becker, all these people, Elena Goldstein, Democracy Forward, and state democracy defenders defending democracy on behalf of the unions, who are the so-called public servants who are now suing America because they're not happy. They think they should have jobs forever, and the federal bureaucracy can only get bigger. And if everything else shuts down, they're immune from it because they're better than us or something. Everybody had to lock down, for 2 weeks, really turned into like 2 months, which turned into 2 years. And they're upset that a lack of federal funding might result in them being fired. Welcome to the real world. Welcome to reality. And have a seat, because it's how it is. Now, there's $8.4 billion that was reportedly going to illegal aliens in this report from the House Budget Committee. They published this back on March 26, 2025. They explain, according to the Californians themselves, the state of California, this is back in March, saying they're going to spend more than $8.4 billion on taxpayer-funded Medicaid health benefits for illegal aliens this year. And that's $5 billion more than they initially estimated. Last year, California became the first state to offer free taxpayer-funded health care through Medicaid to all illegal aliens in the state. It's insane. Maybe that money should go to the American citizens and troops, and we can just extend them or exempt them from the shutdowns. Medicaid, that's our money. Last year, California did this. The expansion is proving far costlier than originally projected because, of course, it's free healthcare for illegals. At a recent California assembly, California state budget officials revealed how much the state is actually spending. And you can watch it. The bottom line, it's one of 8 states that has expanded their programs to include illegal aliens. While federal law currently prohibits federal Medicaid funding from going to illegal aliens, with the exception of emergency services, recent watchdog reports exposed how federal taxpayers pick up the tab for these state expansions. For instance, California is financing this by implementing a budget gimmick to draw down increased federal funding, placing American taxpayers on the hook for all of this money. This program's a critical lifeline for most Americans, and for many Americans, the most vulnerable Americans, and it's ridiculous. But this is what the Democrats do. This is what they care about. They'd rather your brothers and sisters in arms who are protecting our country, who are securing the border, who are doing essential jobs in America, all have to do it without pay because they'd rather illegal aliens in our country get the benefits. And they're openly changing the laws to make that happen. And they call that America, which is an insane thing to say. So we got an update from Caroline Levitt. She had a full press briefing today with the Vice President, J.D. Vance. And here was what she said about why the Democrats are causing this shutdown.
Individuals and organizations across the political spectrum, across the country, agree with the Trump administration and Republicans. The labor union leader, the Teamsters, Sean O'Brien, sent a very blunt message to Democrats over their destructive antics. He said American workers are not bargaining chips. Senators need to stop screwing around and pass the House-passed clean short-term funding bill. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce, the world's largest business organization, called to immediately pass the Republican Clean CR, saying, quote, shutdowns are harmful to the economy, the American people, and our national security. And even Democrat Senators Cortez Masto and Fetterman acknowledged that their party is betraying the American people with this costly and chaotic Democrat shutdown. Enough is enough. Democrats need to stop sabotaging our country and holding the American people hostage in the country. Democrats need to do their jobs. The American people want the government reopened, and this is proven in a New York Times poll showing that 2 in 3 Americans say the government should not be shut down by the Democrats, even if their absurd demands are not met. The president and Republicans are working very hard to reopen the federal government. The vice president here has been crucial in this effort. We encourage all Americans across the country, call your Democrat senators and encourage them to reopen the government. That's what President Trump and the vice president want to do. And
they say that they're not going to be doing it because apparently they love illegals more than their own constituents. But according to the New York Times, this is the poll that Caroline Levitt was referencing. And here's what we've got. This guy, his name is Mr. Olivares Rivera. He said his values are closer to the Republican Party, but the deportation policy has me leaning Democratic. Oh, Rivera. He says we're a country in pain and in need, and both sides need to work together. They already tried that. They shot us in the neck. But the Democratic base is primed for a fight. More Democratic voters, 47%, said the party should shut down the government. Okay, so they're ornery. They're getting aggressive about it. Should shut down the government if their demands were not met, then said that they should not shut down the government. But of course, the independents are on the other side of this equation. So all respondents responding here to the question, views on whether the Democrats should or should not shut down the government if their demands are not met to expand Medicaid to once again include illegal aliens. And Democrats say 47% you should shut it down. So the bigger number, not the majority, but the plurality of Democrats, there's a segment in the middle. Gray segment shows voters who did not respond or say, I don't know. And 43% of them say keep it open. So a big portion of them want it shut. Now, on the other hand, 92% of Republicans say you should keep it open. Independents, 59% say keep it open. But in many ways, the latest Times and Siena poll reveals the contradictions that have come to a deeply divided American electorate. And there's another summation on just what is happening here. It's the fact that Chuck Schumer is getting a ton of pressure from the left. They're very agitated about losing everything. They're shooting at ICE detainees. They're shooting conservative influencers. And they're salivating in the aftermath of death and chaos. And now they're getting a bunch of pressure from their side. Chuck Schumer is getting outflanked by AOC and the lefties. And Rapid Response over on X posted this. They said, it has been crystal clear for weeks who is driving the shutdown. It's the left. And look at all these reports. This is pretty interesting. ABC News posted 2 days ago. With pressure on Schumer from the Democratic base, that was from ABC News, Democrats see some potential political advantages to a shutdown, with their base voters spoiling for a fight. Okay, they're losing everything. So this is it. Illegals. We have to fight it. Progressive Democrats are putting party leaders under enormous pressure from Bloomberg. Notice says with pressure on Schumer from the Democratic base. The Hill says Democratic senators, this is becoming a political necessity to fight this. Washington Post says Democrats cowed by criticism from their left flank. AP even says they've got demands from their voters coming in. Business Insider, under pressure. Guardian, under pressure. You get the point. New York Times was reporting that before the shutdown was even coming in. And it goes all the way back to early September. And it's just been escalating. Democrats say, shut it down. We love illegals, and we're going to continue to fight for them. Senator Van Hollen's probably packing his bag to go down to Guadalajara or something again. So here's more from J.D. Vance. Now, Sombrero Gate has been taking the world by storm, and many Democrats are just melting down. In fact, this morning on the members only stream, we saw Abby Phillips and Hakeem Jeffries very upset about this, talking about how offended they were. And we thought, that's interesting. They're not even Mexican, pretty sure. I'm not positive, but pretty sure. And anyways, or Hispanic at all. But anyways, J.D. Vance kind of made the same point today. He got asked about this, screeching and shouting. We covered a whole litany. We saw George Slopadopoulos was very upset about this. We saw Wolf Blitzer was just regurgitating the same old talking points. And Abby Phillips and many others. How can you have this bigotry on American airwaves? And then they play it and they make Hakeem sit there and watch it. They're like, watch this video that's so offensive to you. Watch it. And we think he looked great in a sombrero. In fact, President Trump put on 4 sombreros and became the entire mariachi band. And he's not offended by it. So why are they so upset? Here's what JD had to say.
Negotiations with these leaders, but what message does that send? Is it helpful to post pictures of Leader Jeffries in a sombrero if you're trying to have good faith talks with him?
Oh, I think it's funny. The president's joking, and we're having a good time. You can negotiate in good faith while also poking a little bit of fun at some of the absurdities of the Democrats' positions, and even, poking some fun at the absurdity of the Democrats themselves. I mean, I'll tell Hakeem Jeffries right now, I make this solemn promise to you that if you help us reopen the government, the sombrero memes will stop. And I've talked to the President of the United States about that. Now, to your first question, good thing. On the sombrero thing, I mean, Hakeem Jeffries said it was racist, and I know that he said that, and I honestly don't even know what that means. Like, is he a Mexican-American that is offended by having a sombrero meme? I mean, I saw one of the major TV stations put the meme up and then say, this is AI generated. And he had like the curly animated mustache too. It's like, do you really not realize the American people recognize that he did not actually come to the White House wearing a sombrero and a black curly animation mustache? Like, give the country a little bit of credit. We're all trying to do a very important job for the American people. The President of the United States likes to have a little bit of fun when he's doing it, and I think that's okay. I'll take one more question.
All right, so amazing. And that is the most perfect, flawless response from J.D. Vance. You guys are really just kind of pathetic. It's a joke. Have you ever heard of a joke before? Relax. And the CNN and the anchors who put that little bar over AI-generated image, they did the same thing for the one with Trump playing the mariachi instruments. Like, people can't get that. And the reason they're doing that is because, man, this hits way too close to home. They're going, oh, dang, we got to make sure voters know that we don't actually think that they hate us, which is what the meme was saying in the first Chuck Schumer video. So it's hysterical. They're just falling into the trolling and they're getting outmaneuvered as per usual. But what's so beautiful about this is we also saw before that press briefing even took place, here is what was happening in the room. Daniel Baldwin was reporting in there over from One American News, chief White House correspondent. What's up, Daniel? And this is what was happening in the White House press briefing room before they got started on loop, saying the White House is playing the Hakeem Sombrero meme on repeat in the briefing room all day. You can hear it. All right, so they're, I'm sure, going to continue to screech and shout about it. The real, policy battle that's happening right now, they don't really want to talk about. So they'd rather just like spring-loaded Pavlov's dogs who are just shoot out of their box anytime that there's anything that they could possibly say is racist or bigoted or homophobic or whatever. They'll do it. And the shutdown will continue. And the sombrero memes will also continue until spending improves. And we're looking forward to keeping our eye on what's coming out, courtesy of Russ Vought. Let's see if we got any more cancellations. Come on, Russ. Come on, Russ. Not yet, but we'll be back. I'm sure there will be more. Thank you for subscribing and joining as we continue to cover the Shutdown saga. All right, now, we got another great story here. This is about the J6 pipe bomber. And we got some docs to take a look at. New questions about the January 6th pipe bomber that our FBI and all of our intelligence agencies just can't seem to find for whatever reason. Very curious because they had cell phone records on that day. We saw the J6 pipe bomber walk around with a cell phone, probably texting Liz Cheney or somebody. And we demanded access to those records. And we learned from prior reports that the FBI special agent in charge, Stephen D'Antonio, came out. He's like, oh, we don't know what happened. It's all got corrupted. Well, we got the emails now that support those allegations, and we're going to look at them courtesy of the Select Subcommittee on January 6th. They posted this. We've got a new January 6th subcommittee, and this has not gotten a lot of attention out there because they're trying to forget about it, that there's another segment of individuals who want further answers on January 6th. They published this. Despite the FBI sending the AT&T company a preservation request to help identify the person who actually planted the pipe bombs, an AT&T employee told the FBI that the data was corrupt, which is a strange thing because they're in the data business, right? They bill for that. AT&T later responded and said the server was overloaded. Oh, due to the large quantity of data being pulled. So requesting data, for our technical experts out there, corrupted the data that you're requesting? So we're going to go through the emails, and they gave us a background on this. They also posted this on X. They said, in December of 2020, the FBI, so before January 6, 2021, the FBI signed a 5-year, $92 million contract with an AT&T company called FirstNet. And that company ensures service when networks become congested during emergencies. The individual who found the first pipe bomb on 1/6 was an employee of FirstNet, that company. So AT&T says, oh, we've got Washington cell towers. We need to fortify those cell towers up. So when we got a bunch of people coming in for concerts or parades or whatever, we don't have congestion problems. Great. FBI, $92 million, guys. Tens of millions a year. Please make sure that the servers are not congested so we can get data. FBI says we're contracting with you. Don't screw it up. Then the person who discovers the pipe bombs works for that company. Wild coincidence. I'm sure just a coincidence. Now, here is where the report comes from. We have the emails, so we're going to come back and take a look at them. We're going to start at the bottom because we have a timeline that we have to follow here, starting with the initial request. But here's some background from Just the News. They explain. The evidence obtained by Congress in our attempts to unravel the mysteries on January 6th are leading the investigation to ask new questions. Barry Loudermilk is leading this. New documents raise questions about how valuable cellular location data was purged from an AT&T and government system. Why was it gone? Despite a preservation order that came in from the FBI that we're going to look at on the 8th. Data's gone. Chairman Loudermilk says the evidence from the pipe bomb analysis and AT&T's response to the request, and a stunning coincidence that the company that was responsible for making sure that records are not corrupted, one of their employees actually found the pipe bomb. Weird. Saying that we are now considering alternative theories about what happened that day. Now, we know that there is another report that Congress is releasing that explains more about the actual bombs themselves, and we're going to go through this one as well coming up, but more context before we zoom in. Loudermilk says these details are not adding up. He says, I'm not buying the story anymore that they were there on the 5th. I believe that they were put there on the 6th at this point. This is the theory that we're going on, especially since the lady that found them said that there were still 20 minutes left on that kitchen timer when they were there. But the other thing is, were there enough explosives inside? Would they have actually exploded, or were they just decoys? to draw resources away from the Capitol so that they could let people in, tapping them on the shoulder and then charge them with trespass. The documents included statements from Carolyn Younger. She's the witness who discovered the pipe bomb, and the witness statements don't fit the FBI's account. Weird. Is the FBI would get something wrong? And told FBI she was certain the bomb appeared in the alleyway during a 40-minute period just after noon on January 6. Witness says they showed up on January 6. FBI says, no. Both bombs were placed the night before at about 8:16 p.m. Why the discrepancy? Loudermilk said that the current fact pattern and the contradictions all lead investigators to look at alternative theories. One of those theories is that the pipe bomb was part of law enforcement training exercise. Okay. On the same day as the Capitol riot. That's interesting. Now follow me on this, he says. This series of logic here. Loudermilk says, when would you build a bomb that's not designed to go off, but every element of it is to make you think it will, or make a bomb-sniffing dog think that it is a live bomb? That's a training exercise, right? So that also opens the door to that. Was this possibly part of a training exercise that our own government was behind? Training exercise? Yeah. Were they put there to just be a diversion, to draw resources away from the Capitol? Yes. Since the pipe bombs were first discovered on J6, another part of the mystery has remained unanswered. Who put them there? The identity of the individual who planted the bombs would go a long way towards solving the motive or the reasoning. However, new documents that we're about to look at show how key cell phone location data was deleted from an AT&T and government system just days after January 6 happened. Weird. Key piece of evidence, all gone. On January 11th, the FBI sent a preservation request to AT&T public sector team. We're going to look at it in a minute. And let's do it now. In fact, here are the letters. This one started on January 8th. You see, from the FBI, U.S. Department of Justice, Washington Field Office, January 8th, 2021, 2 days after the alleged insurrection. To AT&T Wireless, this is a request for a preservation of records from the federal government. Do not delete your files. Do not empty your recycle bin, and get us the materials in a minute. Pursuant to U.S. code, this letter is a formal request for the preservation of all records and information with certain cell towers that is in your possession. We want these. Any data from this time, okay, these are January 5th requests, from 7:30 to 8 p.m. and from 8 o'clock to 8:30 p.m. at this location, pipe bomber location. I request that you not disclose the existence of this request to the subscriber or to any other person other than is necessary to comply with their request. Don't let them know we're searching for them. If compliance with the request might result in a permanent or temporary termination of service or otherwise alert the user, just let me know, because we may not want you to do that. We're going to need you to pull all the records. If that is going to cause somebody to freak out and run away, let us know. Okay, or you're going to do something that's going to alert them. Let us know. We may not want this request to go through. So I request that you, AT&T, preserve for a period of 90 days the information described below that's in your possession. Only retrospective. We don't want you to get new stuff. You're not obligated to preserve any new information. And we want it from your backups too. It's like they only have one server. That's weird. AT&T, like if there's a little blip, they can't recreate the data somehow. Weird. It's interesting for a data company, which is all they do is transmit data. All records and other information related to these accounts. We want names, anybody who's in this dragnet, addresses, local long distance telephone connection records, records of session times, length of their service, how long have they been working with you. We want telephone numbers, MINs, IMSIs, IMEIs, SIM numbers, MEIDs, all the things. We want other subscriber identities. We want IP addresses. And we want to know how they paid. What billing records did they use to pay your fees, AT&T? We want all data about which cell towers and sectors got a radio signal from each cellular telephone that's assigned to the account so they can triangulate where they were. Okay, you sent data from that tower to him and that tower to him and that tower to him. Oh, great. Now we can see more or less where they're at. Any location related data that would provide additional information and anything that would help us estimate latitude and longitude of the device. If you know any estimates about the cell site, this information is referred to but not limited to everything: per call measurement detail, round trip time, right? How far it goes, NELOS, network event location system, or any other systems signed by the supervisory special agent to Washington's field office. Now, you'd expect a data company called AT&T that got a $90 million contract with another company to preserve the data would actually preserve the data, but they didn't. Here's the response as the development continues. So that was sent January 8th. If we are right about that, boom, January 8th. So then we fast forward. We've got some other emails that are coming in January 26th, so a couple weeks go by, from the Washington field office, January 26th to AT&T. Also copied a bunch of other FBI people. Don't know who they are. Would love to know who they are, but they're redacted. Sends an email. Hey, AT&T person. They write, someone from the FBI, someone, probably. I have been assigned as this supervisory special agent overseeing the FBI pipe bomb case at the Washington field office. The blank people told me the blank data for the geofence order was corrupt and it was lost for January 5th, 2021. And that doesn't make any sense either. I mean, if the argument is that the data was being over requested or it was congested or whatever, wasn't that on January 6th when everybody showed up? Who was there on January 5th? Like the hotels were full or something? So how come they lost the records for a very quiet, leisurely stroll during the night where the pipe bomber was caught on camera? There wasn't like thousands of people around there. Is this lost data for just the geofence request? Is this available for individual phones of interest during the same period of time and locations? Is it all this data for the 5th? Like everything is gone? Like you lost the whole day? What are you talking about? So I'm just trying to figure out if we have options as we develop targets of interest. This data would be extremely helpful if we had some specific times and general locations for a possible suspect. Any clarification would be helpful. As always, thanks for everything. Special Agent, FBI, Washington field office, don't know who it was. What are you talking about? All these questions. What do you mean it's corrupted? The whole day? Are you are you a real company? What happened? So they respond. They say, I will get this to you tomorrow, is the response from AT&T, whoever this person is. Oh, crap. FBI's back. We really lose the data? Yeah, tell them that we spilled some coffee on the hard drives. He responds, or she, thank you, 2 exclamation points. Sheesh, give me some information. Tomorrow. Okay, great. Then look at this. FirstNet, built with AT&T, the same organization. Apparently, one of the employees found the bomb. Attach are the requested records. Call me tomorrow if you need any assistance understanding the data. Tuesday, January 26, 9:24 at night, goes back over to the FBI agent and the rest of the FBI. Attached are the records. Then we get some more. And this is actually before, so these are a little bit out of order. So before January 26, when they attach the records, there's another email that comes out on the 20th, okay, January 20th. And here's what we've got. So they're a little out of order. Hi, guys. Blank and I are in the Washington field office command post now for blank. Took over a few of the agents who left the other day. Took over for a few of them. We were just hoping to check back and see if there was any update re this info. If it's easier to call to discuss, my cell is below. So, okay, so now we can reinsert that back down below. But then they respond, okay, from FirstNet. Hey, on the 20th, January 20th, can you guys help us get this info? Any ideas? Then they respond with this. The data for January 5th was corrupted and cannot be restored. All we have is the 6th, which is bizarre because the 6th was way busier than the 5th. And they respond. That is the FirstNet person, program manager from AT&T. Okay, so we shove that back in here. So that's the first one. Then he responds and he says, what? On the 26th? What are you talking about? I'm assigned. All the data's gone? You mean all the data for the geofence order, or all the data for this request? Or is it for individual phones? Is this all data for like the 1.5? What the heck? Then he says, I'll get you some information back later. Then we get this update. Okay, so now we're current. So this is now March 18th. This was sent 2025. And it's from AT&T's legal department, it looks like, over to the Washington field office FBI. Title of this email is Request for Assistance Regarding the FBI Pipe Bomb Investigation and Data That You Got From Us 4 years ago. Good morning, FBI agent. Again, my apologies for the delay, but please see the statement below. Okay, so we got like years of the old FBI, Christopher Wray, and old Congress not doing anything. They send some new emails as soon as they come in. And I mean, pretty early, right? I mean, if this is coming back in March, like Trump and the administration just came in January. So they're already, hey, what's going on with the pipe bomb? New Congress. And they get this document and they respond to them. This comes over from Assistant Vice President, okay? Senior Legal Counsel. So this, man, they hit the panic button over there. The entire legal team is working on this. We need a statement. What's our statement? Trump is here. He's not happy. Congress is here. They're not happy. They're asking about our corrupted data from our employee who discovered the pipe bomb that we deleted. Good morning. Again, my apologies for the delay. Here's our comment, quote. When the AT&T public sector team received notice that the January 11th preservation request was forthcoming, it was late in the night. Oh, gosh. And by the way, the date that we just saw was the 8th. Knowing that this data would likely be purged at midnight Eastern time, like it's just an automatic purge, the public sector employee attempted to preserve more precise location data, which was available to them. Now, we refer to this data set as timing advance data, TA, which provides the distance between mobile devices and the cell tower it is interacting with, which would be great. How long does the signal take in milliseconds to get over there and back? You can pinpoint where someone is. So at that time, our public sector employee understood that this data was subject to a 7-day retention period, and accordingly, the January 5th data was in jeopardy of being purged in a matter of hours. So they get the January 11th preservation. And we got to look at a calendar on that. But what day of the week was January 8th, 2021? Was it like on a Friday? It was a Friday, of course. So it was a Friday, and they sent the preservation request on Friday. Saturday, Sunday, Monday comes around. They're like, oh, we got it on Monday, January 11th. We have a 7-day preservation. And so they're like, oh, no, we'll get to it on Monday. So they just let another 48 hours plus go by because they don't want to address the FBI sending in a preservation request. So then Monday comes around and like, oh, who should we give that preservation request to? Oh, yeah, let's give it to that new guy, Robert. He has no idea what he's doing. So put him on charge of that. Just go get the records. FBI, yeah, happy to do it. So this dude goes over there and he's like, oh, we're going to lose it. 7-day retention period because AT&T waited 3 days to actually do anything about it. And so accordingly, employee freaks out. January 5th data was in jeopardy of being purged in just a matter of hours, knowing that he had limited time, clock is ticking, before this retention period would expire for records associated with J5. The public sector employee acted as quickly as he could, and he attempted to preserve the data for January 5th and January 6th in response to the January 11th preservation request, which was sent on the 8th, as stamped from the letter below. The server the employee used for processing the preservation request for this data, it crashed due to the query producing large amounts of data. What is this? This is what he referred to as corrupted data. in his January 20th email. Okay, so like it just didn't. You're exporting an Excel spreadsheet or a CVS record with all the details. It's going to have 50,000 rows or something. You run the report doesn't complete. The file that is printed out, you try to open it. Oh, this file's corrupted. Okay, happens all the time. I can buy that. Just run the report again. Isn't the data still there? You're saying that running the report wrecks the database from which it is pulling? Don't buy that for a second. This is a data company. And first, they don't have any redundancies built in. So one bonehead employee can wipe out all the records for an entire day from being dumb. He refers to it as corrupted data. The employee could not preserve the data before it was purged. This is a scam. All right. He ran the report. The file couldn't generate because there's a bunch of records. So I can't do it. Clock expires. Data's gone. Total scam. In the January 20th email, the public sector employee thereby notified the FBI that, in his words, the data was corrupted and cannot be restored. How does you running a report wreck the data? To be clear, and maybe there's some IT bros out there who can help me on this, but this sounds like a total scam. All you're doing is pulling data. You're reading data. You're not in there manipulating stuff. To be clear, our public sector team never provided the FBI corrupted data concerning the incident, never even sent it. And the FBI is like, oh, it's corrupted. Okay, it's corrupted. Can't find anything. Moving on. Importantly, and it bears repeating, AT&T did not produce corrupt data to the FBI in response to any legal demand from the FBI that we may have received related to the J5 pipe bomb incident. And as noted, such demand may be subject to a non-disclosure order. Happy to discuss further via phones or Teams. Best, this person. This is a scam, okay? And AT&T, after January 6th, their entire legal team should have been on notice. Oh, our records are going to be very important. This is their job. They get subpoenas all the time from the FBI and law enforcement. So they should have been on high alert, should have probably been preserving the records in general, just because it probably would be a good business practice knowing that they're going to get subpoenas. But they didn't do that. And I want to know who this employee is and what this person's background was. Like, that employee doesn't just get off scot-free. That should be a part of the investigation. We should know who wrecked the data, who corrupted the data. And that person should be hauled into Congress in front of this select subcommittee, and ask questions about what they did, how it worked, why there's no redundancies, why their data why they delayed 3 days when their data expires in 7 after there's a national event. It's a scam. So I don't know exactly what happened here, but I'm very happy Congress is looking into it because this is ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. It's a data company. Their entire job is to have data. And they sent in some bonehead into there to produce a report. The report wasn't valid, and the data expired very conveniently for everybody. And the FBI's like, well, just let that one go. And they ignored it until now. Now they give us this little explanation, and that's just how it works over there. What kind of shop are they running over there? Ridiculous. So I hope Congress continues to investigate. Now, there's more on this pipe bomb stuff because we now know more about the makeup of the pipe bomb and exactly what went into it. And Just the News, once again, got their hands on the docs. They explain new documents show that both bombs, one that was planted at the DNC and other at the RNC, were filled with the chemical building blocks of black powder. Each was equipped with a 60-minute kitchen timer, and each did have destructive potential. But most notably, the FBI report never uses the word viable to describe either bomb. Both devices never exploded. They were discovered about 16 hours after the FBI claimed that they were planted outside the party headquarters. Witness says differently. Someone says, when properly assembled, this can cause property damage, calling it an IED. Now, the documents came from Kash Patel. We're going to look at them next. Over to the House Judiciary Committee, and it also raises questions about the timeline. They include interviews with the key witness who said that one of the devices at the RNC still had 20 minutes remaining on its timer. She looked, oh, it's still clicking down. So that dude is like local. That witness raises the possibility that at least the RNC pipe bomb was planted just before it was discovered and not actually the night before. The mystifying evidence now has investigators exploring new theories. Were these fake bombs made to look real? Was there an operation underway that they'll just call a training exercise so that they could create the event? The single greatest action that facilitated the entry was the placing of the pipe bombs. They had a diversionary effect on security resources that would have otherwise been at the Capitol. Exactly right. After that day, they said the FBI was zealous. They went after everybody who trespassed in the Capitol, even those who were invited in, and ignored whoever placed the pipe bomb. So, of course, it was part of the cover-up, but here is what the document says, according to the release from the FBI laboratory. Here is the report. Out from Washington field office, this was dated January 13, 2021, now released courtesy of Kash Patel and the Congressional Committee on the Judiciary. They say, what we're looking at are explosive devices. They have an inventory breakdown of all the things: fabric, metal end caps, swab, metal pipes, powder samples, steel wool, and more, all listed here. Now, the report contains the results of the FBI exam. Here's more. This is where one of the devices was located, right where Kamala was putzing around. And here's where the other one was located, behind the trash can near the RNC. That's what they look like. And it's always amazing how they take photos with like a potato or whatever they're using. Like, you couldn't give us a higher resolution photo. Are you guys using your old Nokia Snake phones? What are you doing over there? Gosh. According to your incoming communication, on 1/6, they say, 2 pipe bombs were discovered. One pipe bomb was discovered over here, the other one over there. And bomb technicians responded to the scene. And so what we did is your office further advised the bomb squad to do a render safe procedure. These are suspected IEDs. They went through a disassembly procedure to try to separate things out. And here is the conclusion. Now, I've analyzed these, and we're calling these IEDs, also known as homemade bombs, says this FBI person at the lab. The general components of an IED: main explosive charge, fusing system, and a container. Now, one of the pipe bombs, device 1, it had a chemical oxidizer and fuels that, when mixed in the proper proportions, can form the low explosive black powder. So 2 components when mixed, and fuels. Let's see if they could mix themselves or cause an explosion. Device 2 contained the low explosive black powder, so something maybe that was more mixed. So a little bit different. For the detailed information of the chemical analyses, look below. The powders from both devices that were in the metal pipes utilized an electronic fusing system. When made properly and ignited by a source of heat, they're designed to generate gases. It's a confined container. Gases explodes. When properly assembled, they can cause property damage and, of course, bodily injury, and we know how bombs work. Now, it is also the opinion of this examiner that the submitted items consisted of 2 disrupted destructive devices. The use of a hard metal container shows the weapon's characteristics are present. Both IEDs were constructed using similar components: 1 pipe nipple, 2 end caps, a low explosive main charge. Screw one end of the cap to the other, fill the other end with explosive materials, drill a priming hole through one of the end caps, attach 2 wires to steel wool, instructions on how to make these, run the wires through the priming hole, screw the second end cap in, modify the timer to the metal contacts. To deploy the IED, you would set the timer, and the explosion in the container would result in fragments of pipe exploding out, causing injury. Got it. Now here's what it looks like. When the timer counts down, paper clips make contact, completing the circuit. Oh my gosh, this is it. 9-volt power source, end cap with the priming hole right there, steel wool igniter. So the 9-volt, as you've ever, touched steel wool to a 9-volt, it kind of goes up. And so it's super simple. You're just completing the circuit, basically. So that's it. And it's like, I mean, if the paper clips don't match, if they don't, hit or hold, then the circuit's going to break. So it doesn't look, that effective to me. I don't know. I have to ask our men and women in the armed forces who've dealt with IEDs like this, but that feels pretty ineffective, because if the paper clip separates, or the timer just keeps moving it and slip off or something, like, it's not going to explode, but it certainly looks and would act like a bomb. It certainly looks like a bomb, looks a lot scarier than maybe its efficacy would reveal. But here's more. Powder from device 1, item 2, contained the oxidizer potassium nitrate. For details of the analyses, look in these other reports. When heated, it'll explode. Here's another one. And so this is the pipe nipple. Those are the end caps. That's the hole that they drilled through to shove the wires in. Pipe nipple was threaded on both ends, as we saw. More scenes. Visually consistent. They identified the pipe. Here's the fusing system. There's the innards of the kitchen timer. Here's one 9-volt Energizer battery. Just keeps going and going and going, courtesy of the feds. And more photos. Going through the wires, showing how it was all connected. 9-volt was snapped in there. Both wires had lengths of 6 inches. This one was 0.29 inches in diameter. If similar evidence were recovered, we could use them for comparison purposes. And again, look at this, man. It's like, here's the kitchen timer with just some super glue, paper clip super glued on there. Kitchen timer face rear. On the face of the kitchen timer is a paper clip that was hot glued in place, secured at the 0 mark. When attached is an alligator clip, and when they connect, circuit's complete. The face of the timer goes from 0 to 59, turn clockwise. We've seen those. And the igniter was a piece of steel wool. It would just connect the 9-volt battery inside to the steel wool inside the pipe. Now the powder in device 2, very similar, oxidizer potassium nitrate, sulfur, and charcoal. For more details on that, and of course that can explode too. So here's the same analysis, basically, same second device. See if anything is any different. Doesn't really look like it, although, man, they split this one apart here for this photo. Looked inside the battery, looked inside the kitchen timer. Pieces of the fusing system, same thing, simple hole, drilled through, connect the wires to the steel wool. And here's more. This is a fragmented 9-volt, and couldn't measure the voltage of it. So was it even an alive 9-volt? Or was it a dead 9-volt? Can't see on that one. There were other conductors, insulated wire that was connecting everything, the alligator clips to latch on there. Here's more of the front. Turn clockwise. Small circular tin. It contained a white waxy powder material. Powder from this was tested for explosives, negatives. Was it drugs? For detailed information on the chemical analysis of the powder, look to another report. The inner tube, here's more. There's one piece of fabric material. These were not part of the device. Black plastic pieces were part of a black container, a mouse trap that was near the device. We saw that in the photo. Now, a kitchen timer was purchased by the FBI as an exemplar. This kitchen timer was purchased at Walmart and has a similar appearance. So FBI's like, let's try to recreate this. Based on the device examiner's opinion, it appears that kitchen timers used in device 1 and 2 were removed from their housing unit and modified to produce a timed improvised switch. The exemplar face of the kitchen timer and the internal working components are visually and dimensionally similar to the ones they found. The kitchen timer was a mainstays timer and has the same directions on the face, turn clockwise and more. 59 minutes, and they think they identified it. So we think it's a mainstays timer. Now, the items from device 1 are visually and dimensionally similar to each other. Here's a picture of the timer that they went and bought. They're like, yeah, it looks like this one. Mainstays. You might have one at home. Here's a comparison between the two bombs. pipe nipples look very similar. The drilling looks similar, right? It's the same structure, red wire, black wire. They both got alligator caps. They both got steel wool igniters. They both got paper clips, 9-volt energies, timers, kitchen timers. Match. So that's the report. Now, the methods utilized during the analysis, visual exams, microscopic exams, photographs, x-ray images, all sorts of stuff, and some limitations on what they've done. Forensic examiner Kevin D. Finnerty, and detailed report there over from Quantico. So that's the FBI report, and more from Just the News. They're saying, were these actually viable? The internal memos are the most comprehensive that we've seen to date. After 4 years of frustration with this, we're looking into what actually happened. Witnesses are speaking out. She says, I am the person that discovered and alerted the guards to the pipe bomb by the RNC on January 6. She's now out. She says, I wanted to identify myself in case there are additional details I can provide that might be useful to the investigation. Now, I did not see nor do I recognize the person of interest socialized in the media, but I can confirm the device must have been placed between 12 and 12:40 because it was not present when I went down to the area to start laundry. I started my laundry at literally 12, but it was present when I returned to finish my laundry. That's when I found it. The woman is identified as a worker at the U.S. Commerce Department, and congressional investigators are now telling Just the News they have confirmed she also worked at the agency inside a program that coordinates first responder comms for police agencies. Her tip raises questions about the discrepancies. The footage shows that the suspect planted the pipe bomb in an alley outside the RNC building at 8:16, the night of January 5th, the FBI said. But this is about 16 hours before she says it happened. She says, I was there doing laundry and I saw it. At first glance, she thought someone missed the trash can. After a more intentional look, she's like, oh, that looks like a bomb. The dial on the clock was set to the number 20. Now, though she initially thought the device was a prank, she called RNC security immediately. And she came out and gave an interview that looks like this. And here's what this one says. This was drafted, looks like dated, January 15th, 2021. From this witness, drafted by somebody redacted out of the Washington field office. And here's the report. It says on January 8th at 1:09 Eastern Time, 2021, this person, telephone number, this person at this address submitted a tip to the FBI. She says, I am the person who alerted the authorities about these pipe bombs. The text came in and she classified it as a threat to life. So this comes in. I am the person that discovered and alerted the guards to the pipe bomb that was found at the RNC on J6. I wanted to identify myself in case there are additional details I can provide that might be useful to the investigation. They're like, no, we're good. We don't need any help. Thanks. I did not see nor do I recognize the person of interest socialized in the media. However, I can confirm that the device must have been placed between 12 and 12:40 Eastern because it was not present when I went down there to start laundry at 12 p.m. But it was present when I returned to continue the laundry at 12:40. I would also like to report that while walking to the area right before I found the device, I was passed by a woman in front of the Capitol Hill Club who stared at me suspiciously, a woman, in such a way that now makes me think maybe she had knowledge of what was in the alleyway. From what I remember, she was a Caucasian, middle-aged, 45 to 55, of shorter stature, 5'4" to 5'6", heavier set, 180 to 220 pounds, with long dark hair and without a mask. All right, so I was thinking it was Liz Cheney until we got to the dark hair. Now I don't know who. She was wearing a dark or black jacket and jeans. Heavy set, short, middle-aged white woman. I don't know. So she sent that in. She was wearing darker black jacket and jeans. I'm sure they could have looked into that when she sent that in on January 8th. Let's see what they did with it. What type of attack are you reporting? Well, the attempted bombing on January 6th. What makes you believe the attack will occur? Not applicable. Is the attack being organized? I don't know. What weapons? Pipe bomb? Any rehearsals of the attack? I don't know. She fills out her information, got a Gmail address over from DC. Additional info. If I can be of any help, let me know. Now, if discovering the device counts as being a witness, I'm that witness, okay? However, I did not see a person physically placing the device, is what she reported. And here's more from the FBI. So then they come back and they fill this out, FD 302, and here's what they write. On January 11th, FBI special agents, this person, and this person, interviewed this witness. Date of birth, 1984, at her residence of this location. Now, after the interviewing agents informed her of the nature of the interview, she gave us the following information. She said, well, previously, I worked for a private company as a counterterrorism analyst, but at the time of the interview, I was a federal employee working for the Department of Commerce, okay? So some intelligence experience in a private company. So this person returned from a trip to Wisconsin on Sunday, January 3rd, back to where she lived in DC. The washer and dryer, which she used to do her laundry, was in a communal laundry room located in the south side of the building. To get to the laundry, she exited her apartment, moving this direction on this way southeast, and then turned this way on this location to the southeast. Then she walked into an unmarked alley between the Capitol Hill Club and the Republican National Committee. Her building's laundry was located on the south side of the building through an exterior door. Adjacent to the outside gate was a row of trash cans on one side and a mulched garden area on the opposite side. For personal security reasons, this person and other residents in her building noted the gate to be a poorly lit area without any camera coverage. Perfect. They took some photos and attached them here. Now, as the gate's locking mechanism was difficult to function, so-and-so always used the same motion to shut the door from the outside, functioning the lock with her right hand while pushing the door shut with her left hand. Okay, it's like a weird door. You're going to get attacked if you don't shut it right. Now, although the alley was lightly used for pedestrian traffic by the CHC Valet, Capitol Hill Club, and occasional kids playing, the driveway leading to the gate was only known to be used by those going into the building's laundry room. Now, this person did not notice any additional traffic in the alley on either the 5th or the 6th of January. So then, on January 6, 2021, FBI agents explained. They're having an interview with her recording all of this for the record. She was teleworking from her residence. At 12 o'clock, she took a break. It's lunchtime, man. I'm going to go eat some lunch and do a load of laundry. When she first took the first load of laundry to the laundry room, she did not observe anything out of place. Before leaving her apartment to take the second load of laundry to the laundry room, she made note of the time, being 12:38. She's precise. On her way back to the laundry room with the second load of laundry at 12:40, she observed a suspicious device next to the interior gate. Wasn't there before, now it's there. At first glance, she thought someone missed the trash can. Then after a more intentional look, she observed the wires, the pipe, and the clock attached to the device, which led her to believe that it could be an explosive device. The dial of the clock was set to the number 20 minutes left. Oh, dang. That's not laundry. There was nothing covering the device, but because of the position between the trash cans and the gate in an area of the alley with little pedestrian traffic, she assessed the device was meant to be hidden. Now, initially, she assumed the device was a prop for a prank, and then she thought, well, I better notify someone of this presence and get a second opinion. She first went to the Capitol Hill Club and knocked on the front door. No one answered. She went to the security booth at the RNC. After the security guards at the RNC saw the device and began notifying the authorities, this woman notified her neighbors of the device and advised them to evacuate the building. Follow directions from law enforcement. There's a bomb by the laundry machine. Her neighbors evacuated the building, and they were shocked but appreciative of her identifying the device and notifying the authorities. The incident unified the neighbors, and afterwards, they began communicating through a group text thread. Her neighbors were this person, this dude, that lady, that one other lady. I include her. So this person and this person, they were, messaging. They were not home on January 6th, and looks like they haven't returned since. Now, this other person in the group text said that she did not see whom she considered suspicious around her apartment on J6, nor in the days prior. However, when she was walking this way on this street to do her laundry before finding the device, she did notice an unknown woman in front of the Capitol Hill Club who looked like she was from out of town and was looking at her in a way that she considered strange. This person was unsure if the strange reaction was because blank was wearing a mask and the woman was not, or for some other unknown reason. The woman was approximately 40 to 50 years old, 5'7", heavier set, wearing jeans, motorcycle type jacket, and was not wearing a mask. And remember, this is back during COVID. Everyone's going to die. You're going to kill everybody if you don't wear a mask, blah, blah, blah. On January 6, 2021, while doing her laundry, she was wearing a red sweatshirt with Wisconsin in white letters across the chest, black sweatpants, a black face mask because of COVID, and a red headband with her hair in a ponytail. She left her apartment to go to CVS on J5, but only walked down C Street without going through the alley. This internet provider was Xfinity. Her Wi-Fi network was named FBI Van. Just kidding. Redacted. Interviewing agents noted this Wi-Fi connection was accessible with full signal strength from the gate where the explosive device was located. Now, Younger, whoever that is, they just forget to redact that. Younger provided identifying information for her personal iPhone. She was open to being contacted again by interviewing agents and was eager to assist however possible. Okay, guess we now know the name. So the name's redacted, date of birth, bunch of other stuff redacted. All these, maybe Younger's one of the neighbors. Anyways, we got some name. So we got addresses all redacted, names all redacted. And so that's interesting. Maybe the FBI should have investigated that, gotten some records, gotten some camera files, and see if they could piece who that person was and identify that person, right? Might have been a smart thing for them to do, but why would they do that? The witness was later identified as Carolyn Younger. So they just forget to redact that one name. In an interview with Business Insider, she recounted her experience finding the bomb, which matches closely with her FBI interview. Her public statements also confirmed the fact that the feds never spoke with her that day and didn't at all until she reached out through the tip line. FBI didn't even go, who discovered this? Hey, RNC security guard, who found this? Can we even talk to her? What'd you see, ma'am? Where'd you come across it? Didn't even investigate her. Okay, she has to reach out to them because they didn't care because it was their operation. The delay was not the only apparent misstep in this thing under Wray's watch. They didn't care. Though a whistleblower previously told Congress, of course, the Bureau waited more than a year to request field offices to canvass informants. The whistleblower, described as a senior FBI special agent, told lawmakers the request was unusual. It was transmitted more than a year after the FBI had started their investigation. They were too busy rounding up the J6ers. So we have a completely corrupt federal government. The FBI clearly covered this up, didn't investigate it, let all of the evidence spoil, waited a bunch of time, takes AT&T's our data is corrupted joke excuse as fact, and then doesn't investigate anything else. You've got this woman who's a hero who identified exactly who she thinks it was. And, you know, a lot of the times that hunch is accurate, right? You just see that they're more accurate than the FBI ever was with their corrupt data investigation. So great reports on this. We're happy to see that the J6 subcommittee and Barry Loudermilk are releasing some materials to us, but the coincidences are just a little too strange for our liking here. You've got AT&T and employees who apparently from some other, evidence discovered it, now telling us that it is all corrupted. And the prior FBI didn't look into it because they didn't want to find the truth, which is that this was a setup. And hopefully the select subcommittee continues to drop these materials so that we can identify who was really behind this cover up. I want to know who the employees were, who the FBI agents were, who made the decisions to not investigate any of these things, and backtrace that so that we can get to the bottom of who set this whole thing up. We know that pipe bomber is still out there. It's probably Liz Cheney running around Wisconsin, Wyoming. Happy to see the documents. We're going to keep our eye on this one, my friends. Thank you for subscribing and joining as we do. All right. So wild stuff out there. Our government is so corrupted, it'll make you sick. Let's see what you say about all of this. Happy October, my friends. Happy Shutdown October. Very nice to have you here. If you're just joining us, quick recap on what we talked about. And I wanted to see if the Senate was in session as well. See what, if anything, is live over there. Or are they out for the day? I think they're out for the day. Here, nothing live over on C-SPAN. House Democrat leaders defend health care. There's going to be a government shutdown update later. Maryland Democrats holding news conference. Everybody's upset about it. Let's see if there's anything live over on the YouTubes. Anything breaking over there. And not much happening over there. All right. So now, my friends, let's see what you have to say about all of this and more. Looks like the shutdown will continue. And that's how it's got to be. If the Democrats want to support illegals, we're not paying for that. All right, my friends, thank you for being here. We got a bunch of new membos coming in too. What a beautiful day. Happy October. October 1, baby. This one. Oh, yes. Here you go. First day of government shutdown. That's what it looks like over there. We had a very fun segment this morning between Mika and Joe Brzezinski, who were duking it out this morning. Joe Scarborough sleeping on the couch tonight because of the shutdown shenanigans. Rick, what's up, Rick D? Sending this from an airplane. Bringing in 5 new membos. Thank you, Rick D. We got Bart Silverstein, welcome. Zach Bennett, Guitar Man is here. Cody's Mamita is here. Oh, gosh. Don't say anything like that to Hakeem. And Hello Kidden is also here. Mom CEO, would you please post the links to the documents that prove the Democrats are lying about funding healthcare for illegals? I looked and couldn't find them. Yeah, so I got it on rapid response. Let me see. Do I have it right here? Let me see if I can. So I'd go over to rapid response. They posted it earlier today. And here, let me just grab it for you right now. I'll drop this in the chat. In fact, even Mark Wayne Mullen was sharing this. And so we'll just drop that right in the chats, and you can go over there and grab it. So coming in hot. All right, so thank you for that one. Let's see what else we've got. We've got this one from Mock Schnell. Hey, Rob, thanks for the coverage today of the U.S. lawsuit against the L.A. County Sheriff's Office. Now we of California cannot wait for Pam and Harmeet to sue Santa Clara County as well because they charged $2,000 for a CCW. That's crazy, man. How can they charge you to exercise your constitutional right? Doesn't make any sense. Well, it's California. So, yeah, good to see you, Mock Schnell. Thanks for being number 1 in the chat, my man, and for sending in the dono. We did. We covered that yesterday. It was a good one. Hey, Waldo, what's up? Bringing in Blue Nose Bob in the house. Great to have you. Waldo, as a membo, thanks for bringing in a new friend. Mock Schnell says, Rob, thanks for all your streams. For the 2.5 years I've been listening. Well, thanks to President Trump, my day trading account is up 92% since he took office. So here are 50 new membos. Mock Schnell's gains are all of our gains. Thanks for sharing the love, Mock Schnell, and bringing in 50 new membos. Let's welcome them in. Nanner Knows, James Kelly, what's up, Ungoliant? Philip Coggins, we got Space Baby. GSG McLevin is here. Cats PJs, we got Ashley Robinson, what's up, K Stanford? Connie Berreen, we got Katina White. Bayou Dreams, Don Legay, we got Tenebra. Potato is here. D herself, we got Liz, welcome. Masonic 33, Terry Winslow, what's up, Picus? Suedo Snark is here. Lady Daisy Guns, Ann Cleary, Sergio Cabizuela. Doolton is here. Chalky, Pat Hacker, Doc Terminus, Adrian Angivine is here. Max Deplorable, hashtag 2A. John Wakefield, what's up, Nana 1776? David Coburn, Terry's here. Josh Bolt, Alan Roberts, Mr. Buddington, Deborah Young, Hex Sailing, Karen Dees, Lily Smith. We got Jim Tells You, Keyhole, Craig Shank, Lucas G, Holly K, Kevin Gunderson, what's up, RF, Thorin Games, and Chef Cassie in the house, all courtesy of Mock Schnell, who's making some serious gains in those markets. Thank you, Mock Schnell, and welcome. 50 new members. Can't wait to meet you. Don Goff is here. Look at this, Don. 10 more friends coming in. Good to see everybody. Tim Holtorf, welcome. Missy McGuire, what's up, Extract? S. McGrath, we got Chad Parsons, Lee Warren, GL Sasich, Nate is here, Misfit News, and Mrs. Grandmama B. Welcome, Mrs. Grandmama. Nice to have you. And thank you, Don Goff, for bringing in 10 new membos. The Math Ain't Mathin' is here from Economath. Yeah, it was Milton Friedman. I couldn't think of the Economist where that idea came from. It was Milton Friedman. Thank you for that. Yeah, the joke, Milton Friedman was in China. CCP showed him workers digging holes with shovels and then filling them back in. Isn't it a great jobs program? Friedman inquires. He says, well, if it's a jobs program, why aren't they using spoons? You know, that's what our federal government is. It's like, we'll just tax people $1 and then we'll take that dollar and then we'll spend it. We'll give it to some grifter and then and they'll spend it. And, you know, it'll just like multiply because we're Keynesians and we just think that money just like, you know, magnifies itself. And even if it doesn't create anything useful, like how about you build something that lasts, that has longevity so that we can all use it forever, you know, have something where if your money is harder, then, you know, you're more interested in building things that have longevity, but everything's inflating away. So they're just like, spend it, get it into people's money, into their pocketbook so we can increase GDP. It's really what it is. Thank you, Economath. Shout out to Milton Freeman. Groundhog Gaming says, please play the mariachi memes. Pretty please from Groundhog Gaming. We hit it this morning and you're a member, Groundhog Gaming. So definitely check out the stream from this morning because we did full Sombrero members only streams this morning and yesterday morning. It was a ton of fun. Thanks for being a member for 7 months, Groundhog Gaming. Brian Hinkle, what's up? My daughter just moved to Alabama. Her Army husband was paid today, but will not get any more. It makes me outraged. Meanwhile, California's dropping $8 billion on illegal aliens. It's like, what? How can they even, you know, do that? Like, how can you sleep at night if you're a California politician? You're like, this is the way we should govern our communities. Mizzy M, state and local government employees are overprotected and overpaid. I know that from being on the other side of the counter from them for 30 years. I'm no longer in California, but if you want to know how indulged they are with tax dollars, just check out transparent.california, the website. Yeah, and I've shared this before. When I used to do construction, build swimming pools, and I would basically do everything. And I would even go to the city offices and get them permitted. And I would talk with them. I'd talk to these people on the other side of the counter. And I remember one conversation with one, I knew her well, talked to her all the time. I was always there in Scottsdale getting permitted. Like, well, why'd you just, she's like, why, how do you like construction? I'm like, that's great. I love being outside. I love working on the hands, build things. How about you? Like, why'd you come here and work for the city government? And she explained to me outright. My dad told me I needed to get a government job so I could never be fired. She told me that outright, like to my face. I was shocked. I was like, how can you, like, that's your idea, like, of a career, is to go like latch on to some nipple somewhere and like never let go because you'll never be fired. Like, that's what you want your fulfillment to be, is just to like hang on a job for dear life and never be fired. Like, that's your final game of self-actualization. Anyways, it colored my whole experience. And then I found that same pattern. I just meet people in the government, meet prosecutors, meet judges, meet clerk bailiffs, meet all these. Oh, I get it, right? She helped me understand how many people think who are in these positions. And like, it's not how this works. You're not entitled to a job. You don't just latch onto something so you can't get fired. We want productivity out of people. This is not, you know, a government that just is daycare for adults, for crying out loud. Beth, what's up? 18 months as a member. That's 2 full babies. Pretty sure on that one I can do 2 multiples of 9, but not much more. Thank you, Beth. We'll name this second baby Charlie. We're going to be a lot of Charlie. It's a great name. It's a beautiful name. And a great way to remember our boy, Charlie, with a new baby Charlie. Of course, you know, it's an honor. Nobody's ever going to replace Charlie. But thank you, Beth. Thanks for being here for 18 months. This one from Jake Miller, 25 months. Safe to say the Dems lost the midterms with this one. That's a great point, too. Yeah, the numbers don't look good. I think the independents are going to look at them like they're just, you know, crying over something that they shouldn't be crying about. All it was a simple extension. They voted for it many times. And the Republicans, thus far, seems like they've got the upper hand on the narrative. Even some people on the left, in lefty media, are even questioning them. Like, you know, 6 months ago, you were okay with this, and now you're not? Like, what gives? Good to see you, Jake. Thanks for being here for 25 months. Amazing. Gina Harbin. Welcome aboard, Gina. We're going to have an after party today, so we'll see, hopefully, you, Gina, and our newest members over there. And, of course, if we don't, grab the stream from this morning because we had a good one. FD Man says, everything offends adult, antidepressant, addicted, Marxist adolescents. AAAMA. Just watch all the meltdowns every day over everything Trump. USA, nationalism, Christian values, and the dozen jokes that are made. Yeah, and they are definitely Marxists, and they're probably doped up on something. Don't know exactly what it is, but Hunter's got, the recipes. Hey, King of Biltong is here. Are you looking to be based AF like JD Vance? Well, there's one easy way to do it. Just add biltong to your diet, obviously. Over 50% protein and packed with B vitamins, creatine, iron, zinc, and much more. Simple. Go to biltongusa.com, and if you put in code Robert, you're going to save 10% off. And thanks to our friend King of Biltong for the dono today. In a full vid, as pipe suspect passes awning of the Capitol Hill Club, very end an SUV looks like has a light bar, and riding on the side enters the frame. Suspect waves at it. From James Kipp. Interesting, James. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what video that is, but you'd hope the FBI is looking into that now, since the last FBI just ignored everything. Hey, King of Biltong. Great show, Rob. Thank you, King. King of Biltong. Great Biltong. Hey, what's up? Alan is the bestest. Look at that nice little kitten right there. Alan Harkin. Good to see you, Alan. Thanks for the nice donos. As always, super generous of you. Really glad to have you. Says, I can only say that it's almost orgasmic seeing the pleasure in seeing the left called out over and over in their lies and duplicity. Luckily, we have you, Rob, to review and explain it clearly and in its entirety. Well, it's aspirational. Sometimes it's a little bit more clear than other times, depending on, the megahertz that are processing through the brain. Some days are better than others. But Alan, thank you for being here, my man, and always supporting us and being here long term. We're grateful for you. Thanks for watching over on Rumble and for contributing to what we're doing here, because it takes all of us to unravel the mountains of lies and Democrat duplicity. We got our work cut out for us, but we appreciate you supporting us. And of course, for your generosity. Good to see you. Alan Harkin in the house. Knox Bierman. Hey, happy Tuesday, all. I lost as much data, video, notes, etc. that the feds lose. If I did, I would be unemployed, living under a bridge. They are not incompetent. They are doing exactly what they are ordered to do. Yeah, Knox is a defense attorney in Texas. And there's all sorts of, document retention requirements for lawyers. You got to hold on to your case files, misdemeanors, 2 years, felony, 5 years, whatever. So you have the records when they come back and demand them. You got to hold on to your records. It's pretty important. They're a data company, and some bonehead employee walks in there and wrecks the entire database for an entire day. Are you joking me? They're liars. Augustus Creasy. What's up, Augustus Creasy? Thank you for joining us as a member. We'll see you on the members only streams. Knox Bierman, what's up? My clients want the cops to lose everything, like these guys. Somehow all their phone records never disappear. It's a great comment. I know. Yeah, you're just well, what if they lose the records or the evidence disappears? You're well, it's a fun theory. That happens on the Netflix shows, but doesn't happen in real life. Unless it's a pipe bomb on January 5th at the Capitol building, outside the Capitol building. Then suddenly the records are gone. It's really weird how that happens. One of the most secure cities that should be on the planet, AT&T can't even keep an Excel file from wrecking their entire database. It's a joke. Rick D, what's up? Elon is adding Grokpedia. No blue-haired editors. Wiki is freaking out, apparently. Man, that's great news. Yeah, Wikipedia is, we reference it, but it's a liberal bastion. Good to see you, Rick D. Alana Noble, what's up? Remember when President Trump stopped the $8 billion to go towards New York illegals? Was that money put into another accounting for safekeeping? Yeah, I don't know. I vaguely remember some of that. I mean, we've covered so many billions of dollars here, it's hard to even keep track. It's like they just throw it around like it ain't nothing. And we had some of the orders, like Judge Ali from Canada, who's now in charge of American policy. Remember, he said, you have to pay them the money. And then they said, no, you don't. Yes, you do. So there's a lot of money in flux, but now we know that at least $8 billion in green new scam deals is being canceled. Thank you to the shutdown. Hey, DJ Liquid Smoke. I was an AT&T employee. It's a Texas company, but because telecom companies buy each other, it's hard to know if your acquired employees are loyal to the company or will sabotage. So for the DC area, I don't know. Yeah, you just imagine, if you're AT&T and you're like, well, the FBI needs this data. It's now January 11th and you just had this national emergency. Everybody's freaking out about the balance of power and all those things. You'd think they'd send somebody a little bit more competent to run a preservation report and not wreck all of the data from January 5th. They did it on purpose. Alana Noble, 6 months as a membo, says, make guacamole for Hakeem Jeffries. Yeah, guacamole's amazing. I wonder if he would be offended about that too. Does he even eat chips and salsa, or is that cultural appropriate? Have a burrito, Hakeem, okay? Just have a burrito. You'll be okay. Hey, Stefan, what's up? If anyone sent an emoji, picture, or gift or link, it counts it like spam. Mr. Robert, I'm sorry that you didn't see the info that I sent in the comments. Stefan, we did. We saw it yesterday in the after party. Yeah, because you got marked as spam. And we didn't recognize that, but then we saw it yesterday. So I'm not sure why you're being marked as spam on X, but that was the problem. Thank you for the dono. Hey, Pinochet, Helicopter Tours. Spring-loaded alligator clips and steel wool have been reliable since the days of Robert F. Goddard. It feels awkward, Rob, but these aren't a mystery. Anarchist Cookbook? No, I don't think they're a mystery at all. I mean, we went through them. I'm wondering if they're effective. Like if they were intending to actually go off, is that the most effective method? They obviously did not go off. So is it just meant to look scary, or, was it intending to explode? Doesn't really look like it. Kind of looks like it was more intending to be a diversion away from the Capitol, which is kind of how we're analyzing it. So I'm not like mystified, like, what are all these wires doing? I get it, but I'm asking about its purpose for this particular event. And if you wanted to make a bomb that actually blows up and kills somebody, is this the right, is this a good mechanism to do it? I don't know. I don't want to do that. But it feels like there's probably a better way to make sure you have a strong connection between the paper clips that, or may catch or not. Anyways, so thank you for that, Pinochet. NY, I have a feeling, good to see you, NY. I have a feeling just in case J6 didn't yield what they wanted in terms of camera footage of people entering the Capitol, these fake bombs would be their backup plan. Yeah, it's a win-win, okay? It diverts people away. If the Capitol, gets insurrected, great, that's a win. If not, then you still have this argument, even if the pipe bombs don't go off, that there was an attack, right? MAGA Republicans or whatever. So they needed something to happen, and they wanted, something big to happen, and it did. But they had a backup plan. I think that's right, NY. And it serves two functions. It's a distraction, and in and of itself, it could be used as another, a threat. And who knows where that narrative would have gone to. Knox Bierman, I'm loving the shutdown. They can stay closed indefinitely, I suppose. We're going to have to figure out what to do with the military, but the rest of that, I think $8 billion in green money will help. Deborah Myers, what's up, Deborah? Good to see you. Thanks for bringing in 5 new Membo friends. We'll see you in a bit for the after party. What's up? Raw Dog is here. Born is joining us. CL, Rosemary Rex, and Kazzy B in the house. Says, good news. I reshared the comments on stream running now on X. All the details that I wanted you to see. And so check the spam if you'd like to see those too over on X. Deborah Myers, what's up? 24 months as a membo. Good to have you, Deborah. Happy 2-year anniversary to us. Stefan says, you're from Belgium, not Bulgaria. Man, shout out to our friends watching in Belgium. How cool is that? And we appreciate our friends in Belgium. Thank you, Stefan. DemF, what's up? DemF in the house. Welcome aboard as our newest supporter. Sandra Logue. The DOJ sues Minneapolis and St. Paul for their sanctuary policies. Yeah, they're going after one after another. I did not see that one, so thank you, Sandra, for flagging that. Minneapolis and St. Paul. And that's the DOJ. Nice. Yeah, one after another. And it's going to continue to percolate all throughout the country because there are a lot of them. Thank you, Sandra, for flagging that one. The New Life. What's up, The New Life? Welcome aboard, our newest supporter in the house. Great to have you. Thomas Amnet sent in a dono. Thank you, Thomas. Great to have you. Thanks for supporting our work today. And Mom CEO. Thank you so much, Rob. Good to have you, Mom CEO. Yeah, happy you got the link. And glad it will be useful. Share that around to your lefty friends who say, illegals don't get free health care? Yeah, they do. Who pays for it? Where do you think it comes from? Americans. What's going on? We got some comments over on X. And thank you. What's up, Neuro D over there? The real Neuro D on X. Make sure you're giving him a follow. Satellite Boy. If pulling J5 data wrecked the server, how did the request for J6 not do the same? Yeah, interesting. They were able to preserve that day, but not J5. Weird. He got half of it right? James Pepper. You know, the acknowledgement of a shutdown and its consequences are already in all the employment contracts. The judge who they go before would have signed on to that too. Everyone in the lawsuit who is a federal employee knows this. It's already covered. And I don't even know what they're suing about, like the threats of a shutdown. I'm like, okay, well, he said it, but is he doing it? So come back when there's actually a claim. Fred Pedamonte. A foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds. R.W. Emerson. Yeah, imagine the U.S. government having 25 cents and not spending it. Yeah, and it's just like, well, we're just going to keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over. And it's not working, so what do you want to spend another 100 years doing this? Yes, they do. B. Torn, what's going on, B. Torn? Sharing some links. Bill West, great to have you sharing some of the latest on the pipe bomber. And let's see what's in the spam section. It's our friend from Belgium. He's sharing these links. So check it out. Here is one of the possible responsible for the church attacks. Who's attacking the Christians and the Jews? And says, here's another one. More links to YouTube videos about autism and other good details. Thank you to Shadow Observer, our friend from Belgium, for sharing those links with us. We're grateful to have you over there. And here's more. This one from Sharpie Guy and others. Yeah, hey, donations in honor of Dr. Jane Goodall. Yeah, she passed today, right? Like 91. Rest in peace to Dr. Jane. The chimpanzee whisperer. Did some good work. Sharpie Guy, I hope no one is suddenly surprised by the government shutdown. The private sector plans for unforeseen circumstances, and I saw a chart that crystallizes private government wages. It's lopsided, Rob. Plus, when we lose income and healthcare, most of us have saved for the proverbial rainy days. So WTF, who really cares except the grifting feds? Welcome to our world, folks. Yeah, everybody else has to meet a budget and have like hirings and firings. Unless you're a government civil servant, then apparently you're immune from the reality of life. Any or much chance that one day or some contribute to what we all do every day, Rob? Let's hope and pray for them to join our plight, right? That's right, Sharpie Guy. Thank you for the good comments. Yeah, you're not entitled to a government job. It's not part of the equation. No, Stefan, I have not seen the clips, but thank you for sharing them and very persistently sharing them. You're definitely making sure that we're aware of them. So we appreciate that. Thank you for asking about it and for sending in the donos and for being a part of our show all the way from Belgium. Grateful for you. All right. So my friends, we're going to leave it there on the day. We're going over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com. We're going to have an after party. Hopefully we see you there. YouTube friends, stick around. We're going to send in a new link in the chat and then you can come on over and join us. But it has been a beautiful stream. It's Wednesday. It's all downhill from here. The government is shut down and the cancellations will happen until spending levels improve. And we're going to be here to cover it. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for liking this video if you haven't already done so. Thanks for subscribing to our channel. And thank you for inviting someone you know or love. Just come check out this weird, attorney dude talking about stuff. See if they like it for just, a day. Hopefully they do. But we'll be excited to have you back tomorrow. But we're going to pause here before we wrap it up. We want to thank our amazing mods and meme smiths. Big shout outs to Donut Mind Me, John, K Bean, Carrie B, Neuro D, Dog Digger, Janek, and our friends Just Rhonda, Gigum, and Elliot, modding the fort down for us, keeping things oh so nice and beautiful around here. We are going over to our members only after party, and members will be back in the morning with our members only morning stream, and we hope to see you there. But if not, we are coming back tomorrow to get into it again, and in order to do that appropriately, we are going to need to see you right back here so that together, with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it a beautiful night, my friends. Sleep very well. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching, my beautiful friends. Now it's that time where the stream must end. You brought the heat with every chatting line. Together we expose corruption. One more time we dove in the truth where the media hides. Lit up the lies with receipts on all sides. The fight isn't over, but we made them sweat. We ain't done yet, no, not just yet. Because together we are watching the watchers. Truth on our side. Watching the watchers. We won't be denied. Watching the watchers. Eyes open wide. Fighting for freedom with nothing to hide. Drop a like and don't forget to share. And bring a friend who's ready to care. Tomorrow's lies are just today's news, but here we see through the scripted ruse. Together we are watching the watchers shine in the light. Watching the watchers defending what's right. Watching the watchers still